This is a tutorial about Bob, the tree and prop replacer, which is one of the best Cities Skylines mod for people who like to make their builds more beautiful and realistic. The first thing we can do with Bob is replace props and trees all over the map. So we're talking about trees and props that are not inside assets, but are scattered around the map, standalone. So when you open a map, you'll see there are many thousands of trees and bushes. Um, and some of them really don't look very good. So if we zoom in on this bush, we can see it's kind of a floating green blob of color. And we want to replace it. So we open Bob, we click on any of them, doesn't matter which one. So let's click on this one. And this is a bush 01. The V means a vanilla asset. And on the right, we'll see the list of all the plants available. So unclick the hide vanilla. These are the V are the vanilla plants. The other ones are from the workshop. So for example, if I want to replace it with an acacia tree, I will choose the acacia tree and apply and save changes. And all the instances of this bush that are not inside assets will be replaced with acacia tree all over the map. And if we want to go back, we will undo the selected replacement. So we click on the red button here and it will go back to being a bush. And of course we can choose something else. We can replace it with a agave plant or whatever we want. All right. Now, if we want to hide this bush, so all of these bushes to make them disappear. So unfortunately, there's no button to hide them. However, the workaround for me is I click on one of these bushes, then I choose the one grass. One grass is like one plant of grass. I apply and save changes. So it's kind of a small thing. Now, this is something that I usually don't use in my build, so I don't care about it. And the next thing I do is go to prop and tree scaling. And then I choose trees, one grass, and then I scale it to the minimum, 0.1. So it's like tiny. Can't even see it. It's somewhere here. There's somewhere here grass. So what happened now that all instances of this bush have been replaced by this tiny, tiny, tiny piece of grass that you're never going to see. So that's one option to hide uh, trees or props that you want to hide. If I want to go back, I will have to find an instance of it, click on it, and then revert back to bush 01, like that. And we're back to square one. Let's see how we can replace props and trees within a specific asset. So this is the vanilla gazebo, which is mainly used within parks. So we open Bob, we click on it. These are the plants that are used here. So there's only one bush that is used 4 times. I'm going to replace it. So I'm going to search for a bush. You can search for anything else. You can put a tree instead. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the Moriah bush small. So this will replace all 4 instances. And then I click on apply and save changes. Now let's say I want the ones in the back to be different than the ones in the front. So I will click on individual trees right here. I will find the ones in the back. See, it's marked with purple. That means this is the one I'm looking at. And I will give it nice white flowers, and also the other one in the back. So we just have to find it, this one. Again, Moriah bush large flowers. And this is how it looks now. Now for replacing props, so we have to go to the props tabs. And it's always better to use individual props to be sure. So I click on individual props. Let's say I want to replace the table set in the middle, so park table set. You see it's marked in purple. And then I will look for, I already know what I'm looking for, table set. And then I choose the other park table set, this one, which is a nicer table. And then apply and save changes. And that's it. From now on, whenever this gazebo appears, even if in your saved games, in your future games, it will always look like this. If you want to revert and you want to change, you just click on it. To revert, you click on the one you changed and click on the undo selected replacement. Okay, it goes back to what it was. And the same you can do for the trees. I don't want to do it because I don't want the vanilla trees. Let's see how we can use Bob to remove props and trees from assets. So we have here the basketball court and the tennis court parks. And you can see how much space they take. So really a lot of real estate, especially when you want to place them near school or set up a community sports center. So let's open Bob, click on the tennis court. First thing, we're going to remove the trees. So you can see there's only one type of tree that appears many times. We click on that tree, set the probability to 0, apply and save changes. You can see both of them, the trees are gone. So already now we can place them much closer together. Let's say we open move it and do something like that. If you look closer, you can see that they have also these street lamps. So if you wanted to uh, make it better, we can remove the street lamp from one of them. All right, we can move them something like that. Let's open Bob again. Let's go to the basketball court. So we're already on the trees tab. They also have one type of tree. Set probability to 0, apply and save changes. Now we can move the basketball court closer together. Again, there is some overlapping with the street lamps here, so it would be better to remove some of the street lamps. So we can just, let's say, go to the tennis court. Let's go to the basketball court with Bob. And I remove the street lamps on the right. Go to props. These are the street lamps. I'm going to remove the ones on the right. So I need individual props. I click here. Find the ones on the right. This one, probability 0, apply. And that one, probability 0, apply. And now when we move it and put the tennis court closer together, there won't be overlapping from the street lamps. We can do the same for the tennis court if we wanted. And we can even remove the two street lamps here closer to the street, so we can move everything closer to the street. All right, so again, go to the individual props of the basketball court, find the street lamps closer to the street, set probability to 0. So we can now use move it to move everything closer to the road, something like that. Yeah, even the basketball court can be even closer, something like that. You can see that the tennis decal has a little problem with the, it's kind of disappearing. So let's use Bob again. Go to the tennis court, find the tennis court decal, and we go to height, and we're gonna try to change his height. No, this is not the way, the other way around. So we will get it to the minus. Yeah, now it looks very clear. So apply save changes. So we solved that problem as well. And now we have a nice community sports center that takes up probably 1/3 of the space it took before. Another thing that Bob is good for is randomizing the appearance of assets that are used repeatedly. For example, we have here this bicycle stand. It has 4 bicycles on it. Let's say we want to create some sort of bicycle parking lot. So we'll place 5 of these stands together. And if you look at them now, you'll see that each one has 4 bicycles in exactly the same location, which looks very unnatural. So we're going to use Bob. We click on any of them. These are the 3 types of bicycles, 4 individual bicycles. So we'll click on each of them, set the probability to whatever you want. I usually set it to around 50. Do the same for all 4 bicycle. And basically that's it. If you look now, you can see the randomization is working. It's not perfect, I must say, but it is working, and now it doesn't look like some kind of unnatural phenomena. Adding props or trees to assets. So Bob lets you add props and trees to existing assets. Here's a set of row houses, and I want to add something to the balconies to make it appear as people actually live in them. So I will open Bob, I will click on any of them. So these are the existing props. I'm gonna search for what I want to add. So this is, I already know what I'm looking for, table and chairs. It's a plastic table and chairs. And then I'm gonna click on the plus add new prop here. You can see it here, table and chairs. It has a plus sign next to it, so I know it's something that I added. It's not part of the original asset. I'm going to click on the table and chairs. Now I don't know where it is right now. So what I do is change the height and increase it until it's floating in the air. You can see it floating over there. Then I'm going to use the Z to move it towards me, like that. And the X, move it right and left until it's right over the balcony. For better precision, use the mouse button. So I will hover over the Z and use the mouse button a little bit to the back so it's over the balcony. And then I will hover over the X and move it a little bit to the left. So again, it's over the balcony. I think a little bit more to the back. Yeah, now I can see it's over the balcony. Now I will use the Y to move it down until it's in the right place. I will zoom in much closer. Move the Bob window to the right so I can see better. And now I will hover over the Y, use my mouse wheel to just put it on the right height. So it's not, yeah, I think that's the right height. Yeah, looks good. I mean, it might be like a few centimeters above the ground, but yeah, I mean, if I move it down, it just sinks in the, okay. So I'll leave it as that. You can also use the angle to turn it around like that. Okay, and now I will apply and save changes. Okay, so now all the apartments will have, all the buildings will have the same table in the same balcony, but I want to give it some probability so it doesn't appear in all buildings. So I will click on it, choose it, give it the probability, and apply and save changes. And from now on, all buildings of this type, 60% of them will have this table and chairs in the balcony. I can repeat the process and add more props. I can also add trees or plants or bushes. If I go to the no trees, but then I can just look for a tree. Let's say I want to add whatever, a linden tree, a small young linden, and then I will add it, and then etc. I will repeat the same process of placing it in the right spot. If I want to remove it, I will click on the one that I added, has a plus sign, and I will click on the minus, the red minus sign here, remove added prop, and that's it. It's gone. Bobs lets us create random props or trees that we can place within assets. So basically a prop that has many variations. So let's open Bob, click on the asset. And as you can see, this is the random setup. I'm clicking on it. I will click on the props because that's what I'm trying to create, a random prop. New, and then it will give it a Bob random prop 1 name, which I need to change to whatever I want. I will call it a random plant pot and click on rename. Now I have a random prop called random plant pot. I will select it. And on the right side, I have to choose the props that will be the variations. So I will look for pot, and I will just choose already prepared in advance. So I will choose bamboo, click on the plus to add it, bamboo pot 02, click on the plus, bonsai 1, bonsai 2, flower pot 1, and flower pot 2. I mean, you can choose as many as you want. Just make sure the size is not too large, otherwise you can't use it, in a small uh, space. So now I have 6 variations for this random plant pot. I will close the window, and now I will add it as a prop to this building. So I need to create a new prop. So I will click, let's say, whatever, the doghouse. I will click on add new prop. So I will have, you see here, 22 doghouse. Now I will change it to random. Sorry, I have to click on show random, and it will be the random plant pot. So you have to click on show random, select random plant pot, apply. So now I have the random plant pot. Now I have to position it in the right location. So as I said, I'm not sure where it is. So I'm using the Y to make it float. It's right there. All right. So let's get it down now. Let's move it towards us like that. Let's say I'm going to put it on the second to the right. So let's move it there. I'm going to put it in the balcony. Get it down. Let's move in closer. Use the mouse wheel to select the height. That seems to be the right height. Yeah, I think so. And then you can move it to the right a little bit, something like that. Just give it a little space because they could be different sizes. And I will give it a probability of 100 and apply and save changes. Now let's test this random plant pot. So I will use the picker just to copy this building and plop it. Sorry, the other side. So I have 4 of them. And let's see. Oh, you can see here it's a bamboo, and here it's a different plant. And here on the right, again, it's some kind of bamboo. And here it's something else. So we have 4 different plants. And of course, we can place this in any other asset. It's not specific to this building. It's just a global asset, global prop that we can use from now on. As long as we are using Bob, we have this on our disposal. Here is a way to decide which asset to work on first with Bob. You open Find It, you go to Settings, show the number of existing instances of each asset, sort by used assets on top. Then you can start with ploppable assets, which include parks, parking lots, service buildings, unique buildings, schools, etc., etc. And then you start plopping them one by one in front of you, taking a look at them and deciding which changes to make, if any. Of course, I'm going to skip the concrete blocks and the rocks, whatever. So they're not all, even the small parking lots, I'm going to skip. And I will just close in and take a look at them and see what I can improve. These are the ones that I already worked on actually, but I just go down the line and work on them one by one. Once I'm done with the ploppables, I can go to the Global Reco tab, and this includes residential buildings, office buildings, and commercial and industrial buildings. And again, you just plop them in front of you and go over one by one, see what you can improve. The important thing to remember here is that when you make a change to this house, for example, I'm not improving one house, I'm improving 94 houses and probably more many more in the future. So that will give you motivation to spend the 2 minutes and improve it. The most obvious improvements that I always do is replace the vanilla trees and bushes. So this bush I'm going to replace for sure, and give probabilities to props. So you have this table, this pool, the solar panels, the antenna on the roof, all of them can get some probability. So the 94 houses will not look exactly the same. There will be a little bit variation. It's important to remember that all the changes that you make to parks and buildings will be global, which means they will apply to all of your saves, all of your cities, past, present, and future by default, because Bob uses one config file for all of them. So there is a theoretical way around it, which I can't recommend it because I had a lot of problem with it. It's very confusing and it keeps overriding my global file. So you will go to options, you will choose Bob, choose configurations, and here you will add a new configuration file for every city or as many as you want. Let's say I will call this Sunny Beach, which is the name of this city, and then click on new configuration file, and now I have this file which I can click here and use this selected configuration for this save. So Bob will use this file for this city, and then you can create another file for another city. However, as I said, I had so many problems with it while trying it that I don't recommend it. I recommend using just one global file, not having any other configuration files until Algernon, the creator, publishes the clear documentation of what to do and how to do it, and make sure there are no bugs. Currently, plenty of bugs here, so not recommended. One final note, Bob also lets you replace props and trees in networks, in particularly roads. So I will open Bob, and if I click on this type of road, I can replace the default tree with whatever tree I choose. So I say apply and save changes, and from now on, all the roads of this type that have not been changed will have this type of tree. Of course, you can use the regular way of changing a road segment by just choosing a tree, clicking on the road, and this will apply to this segment of the road. But when you place this road somewhere else, it will have the default tree that you decided on.